If you're like most, you noticed that it was easier to stay lean before the age of 20. But why is that? The answer is that because after the age of 20, our body's metabolism slows down by as much as 4% every decade. There's an amazing keto powder addressing just this issue. It works by increasing the level of ketones inside your body. A lot of people simply add it to their morning coffee. But get this, it works even with keeping carbs in your diet. That's how powerful the ketones in this are. It's no wonder so many are using it. Just imagine how good it would feel to be in control of your weight again. If you want an easier time managing your weight, you'll love taking this amazing keto powder. There's a 60-day money-back guarantee and free shipping on all orders. Get up to 51% off for the next 24 hours only by going to inspiredketo.com or by visiting the link down below. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, how's it going? It's Jean Nolan here, and it's wonderful that you're here today. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for clicking the like button, for subscribing to our channel, for hitting the notifications, and for following us on the other platforms. We really appreciate it because we can continue to communicate and exchange information, inspiration, all those beautiful things on this journey. Now, before we go any further today, I want to explain two terms that I often use, and I want to make sure we all know what I mean by that. When I say world, the term world, I'm talking about the artificial system that is politics and finance and science and everything that humans have kind of agreed on but are not necessarily natural. That's what I call the world. It's a bunch of contracts and agreements. The earth, however, is the natural organic system, and there's a huge difference. So when I refer to the earth, I refer to the natural thing that we are a part of. First and foremost, it's important to understand that you don't run this world, you just live in it. Same for me. We don't run this world, we just live in it, right? This artificial system. However, we all live on Earth, with Earth, from Earth, and for Earth. And that's really important to understand. We're a part of this natural system, which is far more powerful anyways. Today, we're going to talk about the perfect storm, a really important, and it might be an alerting subject, but that's why we're bringing light to it. That's why we're bringing it out into the open so people can actually take inspired action and have more peace of mind. The perfect storm that is brewing, and this is something we have been talking about, but we want to just bring an update, is the global food crisis catastrophe. I want to rewind just a little bit. My grandma is still around. She's in her 90s now. And she's, I love her dearly. We talk on FaceTime whenever we can, which for her is such a treat. And I think still it's so amazing for her to see that this is even possible. But my grandma, up until a few years ago, she would always have a garden. She would always grow veggies and grow fruits and always have her own garden. And the reason is because she experienced a shortage and lack of food. She experienced hunger in her life in the Second World War when there was not a lot of food around, and she had to go through this. So all her life, she's been growing food. She's been preserving food. She always had a root cellar, all those things. There's a message in here for all of us. So moving forward, what are we talking about? Things are really intensifying, and it might not mean much when the chief of the Bank of England comes out or the Rockefeller Foundation CEO comes out and they say, hey, global catastrophe coming, because we know who these players are, and it's kind of, okay, whatever. But there's a lot of other indicators that we see that point towards an acceleration, not just in certain areas, shortages, but massive crisis. But with crisis always comes opportunity, and that's what we're going to get to in a moment here. But what we're seeing is a strong workforce shortage. Everywhere we look, everywhere where we have contacts in the world, we hear the same things, which means that people are missing in key positions in the supply chain. That is one thing that people underestimate. But what happens when you don't have enough people? Stuff just doesn't get done, right? And we're nowhere near full automation with robots taking care of everything. So this is a huge thing. There's simply not enough people working. Stocks are remaining unshelved. And of course, in the transportation sector and everywhere that's connected to food, there's a lot of people missing. But not just in the food industry. Everywhere we have a workforce shortage. Also, as you can see, energy prices are skyrocketing in all areas. It's not just natural gas, it's not just oil, it's not just fuel, it's not just diesel, it's kerosene, it's all the different kind and types of fuel that industrial machines are using, that planes are using, that trucks are using, that tractors are using. What does that mean? For some companies, it means they cannot operate because the overhead is just too high. For other companies, it means they at least have to immediately pass on the skyrocketing prices to the consumers. Consumers cannot pay it any longer because people that have already a very, very limited budget or are already kind of trying to, or cutting it close, or not enough, which is horrible. But if that's the case, the money is simply buying less and less and less, which of course means inflation and skyrocketing prices in all areas. That, of course, reflects back to everything, goes through the complete chain, and has a horrific effect. Then we also, of course, see 25 million tons of grains that are stuck in Ukraine, not coming out of the country. The exports from Russia and Ukraine, which amount for about 30% of the world's wheat needs. I'm talking about wheat, not weed. 30% are not going out of this area. This is huge. This is absolutely crazy. Then we have, of course, food plants that are mysteriously burning down by the dozens into the hundreds now, or at least close to 100 food plants in the past year and a half or so, which is a big deal, right? There were more than 40 or 50 million chickens destroyed in America due to the bird flu pandemic that is apparently out there. We have fertilizer prices going extremely high up, so farmers are trying to, when they can actually farm and when they can actually plant their crops, they're trying to use less or no fertilizer. Of course, the whole process of planting crops is very difficult with the operational costs being so high, with machinery costs being so high, with everything simply being in such a crazy pace. Of course, you've heard about the baby formula. It's now 40% out of stock. I mean, just indicator after indicator. I'm looking at my list here. Spanish fruit production, and Spain is one of the main fruit exporters in the world. Their fruit production is down 40%. And here's the thing with these numbers. They're usually not exaggerated. They're usually downplayed. But there's a bigger picture here, and this is the reason why we really encourage everyone to listen closely. Naturally, this food crisis could not just be avoided. If it wasn't needed for this cabal, for this group of people, then it would have never happened. But they want this. And as I said in the beginning, it's not our world. This system, it's artificial system. It's their world. We're just living in it. And we're trying to extract and remove our energy from it. But it's their world, and they're currently collapsing it. They want this to happen. They want famine. They want chaos. They want catastrophe. They want fear. They want worry. They want sickness. They want all these things. So you will be so desperate that you will simply pray and ask for the solution that they then have to provide to you. And they say, well, here it is. Here's our new system, our new structure. You'll own nothing. You'll be happy. You'll live basically a completely public life. Your brain will not be private. Your body will not be private. What you do, what you think, what you dream of, nothing will be private. But you'll, have the stuff that you need, and you'll live in a big city, in a smart city, and everything will be digitized, and you'll have, a biometric code. You'll have all these things. They have their solution in place. We talked about it. We'll continue to talk about it. But today is really about solutions for the imminent problems. You need to take action right away. This is not for us. This is not fear-mongering. In hindsight, in a few years or maybe in a few short decades, this is going to be one of the most important topics that people are going to talk about in terms of the past, in terms of 2022, 2023, is how could people not see it coming? How could they be so unprepared? On the flip side of this, a lot of people actually are prepared and they're taking precautions. And it doesn't matter where I go, it doesn't matter who I talk to, it doesn't have to be someone from our community. It could be someone somewhere in some shop, some store, some farmer's market, doesn't really matter. Everybody knows this, feels this. They're preparing to the best of their ability. Some people are simply stocking up on rice. Some people are stocking up on the things they can stock up on. Others are increasing their own food production in their yards, balconies, gardens, patios, whatever they can. So the solutions are beginning to roll in, and we are talking about this because it is important. Here's the thing. This whole system, this whole food system and any other system, it's coming down. It's collapsing. They want it to collapse. It's going to collapse. There's simply no way around this. But this is the world. The earth, the mother, still provides. It's here, and as much as they try to manipulate her and destroy her, we have wonderful power. We have our intentions, our hearts. We have our dreams, our visions. And when we communicate with the mother, she always provides. She's here for us. We're here for her. That's how this whole thing works. So now it is important. What can we do short-term, mid-term, long-term? Get started on whatever you want to do in your gardens today, however little you can get started on. But also reach out to other groups and people who are like-minded, who see this, who feel this. Community gardens, families who have maybe a little bit of land or a bigger yard, but they're not quite using it yet. Think about all these things. Reach out online. There are communities like Gabriel Miguel, who's running the ANASTASIA Foundation from the that's about Anastasia's vision from the Ringing Cedar Books. We keep talking about it, but he runs the ANASTASIA Foundation in North America for the United States and Canada. They're on Facebook. They're on the internet, have a website, a community, people talking to each other, creating these settlements, really embodying and implementing and manifesting these visions. We'll put the links, all the links in the description. Of course, there's also Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance, who is not just teaching people how to create their permaculture food forest in their own backyard, but if you want to, if you have the means, they can plan and install it for you. They're building whole neighborhoods and communities built around this subject. And in the stratosphere of Food Forest Abundance, you will find people that are like-minded, that might not be fully there yet. They might not have the means yet. But see, when people come together, synergies happen, beautiful things begin to happen. Short term, go stock up, go to your grocery store, look at the things that are non-perishable. If you are looking into the emergency foods, we'll also put a link in the description, and that's for My Patriot Supply. If you go to preparewithinspired.com, you'll get a discount for your 3-month supply, for your 1-month supply, and they'll take off, I think, $150 on the big package. So you'll have something that's non-perishable for 25 years, a long shelf life. It's an emergency food. It's not recommended to use this every day and eat it, but in emergencies, it will definitely feed you well. But really, really important to implement a new strategy. How are we doing this moving forward? How are we looking at our food supply moving forward? I believe we will again create structures and systems beyond what we have now, which it's not really food what we're buying in the supermarkets for the most part anyway. It's highly processed crap. I believe the future, as I've said so many times before, is in the local communities, farmers markets, co-ops. Go talk to people. This is the time to do it. If you go to a farmer's market in your area, talk to the farmers. Talk to them. What are they thinking about all of this? How are they seeing it? Get their take on things. See if you can, sometimes they'll say, hey, listen, maybe you want to help. Maybe you want to come to work a day or two of the week and be compensated in food. There are so many possibilities. Stop limiting yourself with what you cannot do and start going into the things that you can do immediately. When you communicate, when you reach out, there's usually symbiosis. People want to work together. It's really, really important to do this right now, but the call to action is here. Listen, this thing's coming. There's no question about it. They want it. The structures, the systems, the psychopaths, they want this and they're going to bring this about. So don't wait for it. Hindsight, I'm telling you, when the big thing hits, and the big thing will hit, shit will hit the fan, there will still be hundreds of millions of people completely unprepared, completely caught off guard. They will become desperate, they will become violent, they will become aggressive, because when people get hungry and there's no food around, that can get tough. So it's really important that we are fully prepared. And it's also really important that if we can, we then help others. We then become the shining lights. I've said this before. We then become leaders, not in terms of ruling over others, but simply showing a way, saying, hey, we kind of saw this coming. Read the books, reach out to the people, talk to them, get involved, become part of this. You will thank yourself. And also think about the generations ahead. Think about the 7th generation. If you start this now and you pass this on to your kid and they pass it on to their kids and their kids and their kids and so forth, you have just begun to create something amazing, something beautiful, something that will always be valuable. And so this is really what we need to pay attention to, focus on, and do now. Get started today. Don't put this off. Again, you can go to the links in the description of this video. We put them all there, whether that's emergency food that you just want to have peace of mind and have something in storage and nothing can happen. You have this and it's there and it's 25-year shelf life. Go to preparewithinspired.com. That's where you'll find that. If you say, hey, I want to get started on my garden, I want to grow food, I want to have perennials, plants that you plant and that keep producing fruit and blossoming every year, I encourage you to go to Food Forest Abundance, link in the description, and look what they're doing and see if this is something that you feel inspired to become a part of. This is a great way to start, but get started today. Consider this one of the most important things of our time, because those who can feed themselves, those who won't go hungry when shit hits the fan, will be the richest of them all, and that means you'll actually be able to help others, you'll actually be able to help your family, and actually be able to be a conscious co-creator rather than just trying to survive. Right, Inspired Tribe, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do subscribe, please do share this with someone who needs to hear this today. And we'll be back with you very, very soon. We love you. We appreciate you. And have a wonderful and inspired rest of your day.